Did it just tell you it was recording? Yes. Okay. So official over here. Um, so to get started, are you able to see the screen that I want you to see, the presentation?
I am not seeing that. I didn't see your pictures.
Okay, let me see. I think you're right. I think Teams is a little bit challenging.
Mhm.
Let me see. Oh, I know what I did. I just didn't officially share it. Okay. All right. So to get started about our mini innovation grants, we have $1,000 to give away to programs. We have two different components. So it can either be adults, really like volunteers that are writing them for organizations, or directors of organizations, or girls writing them themselves. So we have there's much overlap, but obviously kind of looking at the grants through a different lens. So the way to first start this is I want to just kind of talk about what Girl Co is. We are very new, so it definitely, deserves a little bit of explanation. So Girl Coalition was started by the Girl Scouts of Indiana, and they received a Lilly Endowment grant. And so this is the first time that all 6 councils have worked together. So what they did is they decided to really expand their effort rather than just dividing funds and working, in their own silos. They decided to really focus on creating our coalition to really reach girls that have been historically left out of Girl Scouts. And so we are working in 20 counties around the state that have the highest poverty levels, but also population density. But that doesn't mean that if you are outside of that scope, that we can't work with you. So that's one opportunity. Like the grant is really one of the only opportunities we're able to do that. So I think it's a really good opportunity for organizations, around the state that might not have opportunities with us otherwise. So our mission really is to be embedded in our communities to solve these 4 areas of a girl's life. So physical, academic, socially, and emotionally. And so really being able to listen to girls firsthand and hear what their needs are, not what we think their needs are, and working to remove barriers. So that really is, sometimes that is a little bit more complicated. We're kind of looking at some of those systemic issues. And so that's where the real work comes in, and why I really think that we are outside of Girl Scouts. So making sure that we're reaching those things that are just we haven't had the opportunity to work for otherwise. So one of the very first things that we did when we got started was we worked together with the Indiana Youth Institute to do the Indiana Girl Report. And so this was the first time the data had been pulled out to really show girls' experience beyond just girls and boys together. And so it was pretty startling to see some of the differences and some of the things girls are really facing that boys are not dealing with to the same degree. A lot of those things that were really startling were mental health, and that goes into cyberbullying and things that were way higher impactful on girls. This work really matters to me because I not only, am a woman myself and was a girl, but I have you can see over here, I have my niece and my daughter. And so when I think about the world that they're growing up in, they are kindergartner and first grader. And so we've got a lot of work to do before I want them to be able to share, the same kind of experiences that older girls are sharing. I hate the idea of them not having the opportunities, that even I had. I feel like the world is very different for them than it was for me. So I also have the QR code on there so you can download a copy of the Indiana Girl Report. I think if you work with children, it's really good information. It can be a little scary to see also. I think it's also important, the new data Kids Count book came out from Indiana Youth Institute, and that data is pulled for specific counties. So you're able to see so much information about, everything from like graduation rates and free school lunch. You can see um, just so much information that is very specific to your county, and I think it's very helpful for developing work. So we are in partnership with the Girl Scouts, and I want that to be very clear from the beginning. So we are working with the Girl Scouts, but not direct recruitment. We are really much so worrying about how Girl Scouts can help improve the lives of girls, and their mission is very clear. Girls need supportive adults, and they need support with their peers, and they need exposure to a wide variety of activities and opportunities. And that's what I think is so great about this. I feel like it is so malleable. And that's really in their mission, is just the variety of activities. and mentorship. We know that girls need healthy adults to be able to live their best lives. And so Girl Scouts is also very simple when it comes to the experience. Basically, it's a program that grows with girls. So as they move through the ranks, they get new responsibilities and learn new skills along the way. And there are 4 pillars. So that is STEM, life skills, outdoors, and entrepreneurship. With these grants, we are not necessarily directly needing you to follow their pillars or their experience. This is open to girls that are not in Girl Scouts. So we are not anticipating that you are going to do this specific kind of programming, but I want you to get kind of an idea of what Girl Scouts is and why it's connected with Girl Co. And so through our work, we started listening to girls in our communities, and these were the 12 barriers to success that we found. Obviously, some of that is lack of trust with the existing structure. You can see our Girl Scout logo. So, I mean, I do feel like I want to be clear that it is beyond just Girl Scouts, but kind of all sorts of programming and just information. So 12 barriers, if you work with children, you already know these things. If you live in your communities, you know these things. But it's been really helping guide the program that we're doing. All right, and now I'm going to get to the real nuts and bolts of what we're doing. So this grant is all about the idea that our communities are already doing wonderful programming. They're already impacting girls. How can we work with you to make sure that girls are getting the best experience? And we can't do this work in a vacuum. First of all, no one can. I think that collaboration is essential to being successful. But we really want to see what you are doing in your communities already, or what we can help you do, how we can help kind of expand what you're already doing. And we really need girls to be able to have a voice in this too. It's really important to us that we do have these grants broken up to be adults and girls, because we think girls are, we know if you work with girls, they're innovative. Our objectives are pretty simple for the grant. We really just have 3. And that is that it is new programs or adding innovative elements to existing programs. Innovation is a very scary word. I don't need you to do coding, nothing like that. It's just finding basically new ways to work with girls or something that is just new to you. So the idea of basically it means we can't be doing just exactly what you're doing already. We're not doing I'll talk about this in my next slide, but it's a little bit beyond we're not operational costs basically. And reaching girls that are not involved in Girl Scouts yet, and for those that are in low income households. That is the piece that I think we get the most questions about and is the most confusing. And really that means that we're just making sure this isn't a Girl Scout troop doing programming for themselves. So if it is a Girl Scout troop, how are they bringing in other girls? If it is not a Girl Scout organization writing the grant, which we expect most of them will be, we are going to work with you to make sure we're bringing that to girls. Most likely, if you are working in the same populations as we are trying to reach, they're probably not already in Girl Scout programming. So don't let that deter you. And we really would like for these projects to be able to be sustained beyond our grant period. So we would like to be able to learn from what you are doing to see how we can reach similar audiences. We're not trying to replicate your programming exactly or anything like that. That would be a conversation. But we want to be able to learn from what you're doing. We think you guys are the experts in your fields. So this is really that nuts and bolts again of it's not operational costs. So it's not going to be paying utilities or paying for wages. I think wages are something that is a little bit more malleable because maybe it is a one-time programmer. That's a little bit different, but beyond just keeping the lights on, it needs to be able to be a little bit outside of your normal realm. I would say it's always really important to be clear about where your money is going in any grants. So this is our grant timeline of what we have done so far. So there is not going to be an anticipated break, where we're not going to be taking them again until August. But I kind of wanted to give you the general gist of what it has been. So we've had 2 grant periods already, and we're getting ready to come up on our last one that we have scheduled, which is in March. Beyond that, it's probably going to be every 2 to 3 months. So I feel like I just like to be clear from the beginning. All of this is very much so new. Our director was just hired a year ago. We were all hired in June. And that is really the nature of what this initiative is. What Girl Co is in general is it's really kind of learning as we go and figuring out how to be the best support to our communities. So you have until March 1st to apply for this grant at this point in time. So this is a little bit more into the division between the adult and girl grants. So the idea is really who is writing the grant. So this is when we say expanding outreach, it really is able to connect with girls you haven't met with before. So I think as long as you can kind of speak to how you are doing that, I would say the more information we have, the better. And again, the qualifying for funding really is that 75% must live in low income or a Title I school. So just being able to be clear in how you know you're getting that information. And again, the Girl Scout component, we will work with you to make sure that we're reaching that metric. And I really think the opportunity for girls to write grants for the $1,000 is really important. I think this is another way your organization could really have a broader impact too if you work with girls to kind of come up with programs too. That's not going to work for every organization, but I think is a really valuable opportunity. So it really is ways for them to think about what girls need to impact their community. And I think that can be so broad. It's also important to note we have staff to help you. So you can see we are in these 20 counties right now. And so we have specific people working with that county focus. And so you will have someone that really is assigned to work with you. And we'll have at least 3 touch points, which really is, when you first receive the grant, during planning, and then with your report at the very end, your after action report. But we're available beyond that. That's just kind of what we are asking. And we really just want to be able to be helpful to, be able to reach success with what you're proposing. The after action report is pretty simple. I've attached it to the side. So it really is going to ask, your metrics of who you reached, how it went, what went as expected, and what your takeaways are. So it's not very complicated. And that is due, I believe, within 3 months. I was trying to make it up, and I have it right there on my screen. And one of the very last things is just these are the programs that we've already supported. So we are working with these 4 organizations to be able to roll out this programming. And so you can really see there's a wide variety of offerings. So some are, a 2-day workshop. We have one that is a single event, the father-daughter event in Fort Wayne. So that really is just a one-time event. We're specifically paying for professional photos and crowns for each girl. Again, very specific, and that's something they've not offered before. And then the YMCA is doing a program where they are actually, doing a 6-week long program where they're filming through TikTok and doing cooking programs, which we love that idea. And then the idea of our church, the Her Story for His Glory, it's a program that they have done before. So this is something that they have offered, the safe space for women, more of like a support group, but they're going to be able to expand that beyond the women they're serving to reach girls as well. So it can look so many different ways. So if you have an idea, it's worth just kind of chatting with us and seeing if it would fit, or really just writing the grant. We will work with you after submission to help you reach whatever you need to be successful. We want to do this. This is the thing we need to do with our strategic plan. So we are working with you. So the next steps really are that next grant period is March 1. And so here's my information. So please get in touch with me, at any point. I will leave this up on the screen for just a minute, so you can take down any information that you have, and then I will just open it up to any questions that you have. And that can be specific or broad, and I will do my best to answer.
So Sarah, you had mentioned that you do work with Big Brother, Big Sister. And as you were talking, I was thinking, actually it'd be awesome to actually teach girls how to write grants.
Agreed.
And come up with ideas and do that. So that was something that sparked an idea while you were speaking, and then they could do both. They could have, or the big. So, something to think about.
I think that is a tremendous idea. We have my counterparts in Marion County are doing just that. So they're doing a workshop with a group of girls. I think it's 3 days, so it's over a couple of weeks. But working with them to do that. So I think that would be something that we could very easily replicate other places, especially once we first of all, they're doing the work already. So let's see what worked really well for them. I really think that's a great opportunity too, especially if you can run the funding through that organization, because otherwise it most likely is going to go through parents. And not that you can't do that, but at the same time, I feel like that is a lot to ask of a adult. So I feel like that's a lot to ask of a parent, or at least like I would be a little nervous myself if I were doing that. So I really think it would be a great way for an organization like Big Brothers Big Sisters to be able to do more of a widespread impact, because you could be able to send that money directly through Boys and Girls Club, and they could be able to work with the girls in that way. And I mean, even as a budgeting thing, as their mentor, like what a great opportunity to really do some hands-on learning. So I love that. And I think that's something, even if you're outside of our 20 counties, I think that we would be happy to work with anyone to do that. Because you're in Johnson County, correct?
I am, yes, but I work with the Big Brother Big Sister of Marion. They're in Marion County, Johnson.
Oh, okay.
County. So they are in Marion County.
Oh, great. Yeah, I have Lex and Rebecca are my teammates from there, and they are just like genuinely two of my favorite people. So, and they're the ones already doing it. So I think that would be a great, I'm obviously not going to say I'm not going to speak for them, but I know I would be interested in doing that. I would really like to put something together myself in my counties. I have Vigo and Knox counties, and that's the next step I want to do, is really put together something. We also talked last week, our committee for this, of doing the girls, at least having an offering to do it as more of like a TikTok video presentation too, like kind of finding some different ways to do it. So we are very much so open for whatever you guys suggest. I that's literally what my job is. I love that, just being able to say, yes, let's figure it out. So. All right. Anything else?
Sarah, is there any limitation to the like type of organization or group that it wants to host or sponsor?
No, it is so open at this point. And that's one thing that's really interesting. So it really can be like individuals. Most likely it would be, a volunteer position, but no, we don't have anyone that can't. So it doesn't have to be an official nonprofit or anything like that. As long as it is reaching girls. We only had one proposal that was pretty far out of the realm of what we were doing, and it was an adult promoting their business, where they were just kind of doing a lecture and inviting girls. So that was the only thing that was kind of like out of our realm. But even that, I'm like, I feel like so much of it is like, if you can tell us why it's important, it's a little bit different.
Oh.
Yeah. Anything else?
Sarah, I have a question.
Talker. Yeah.
Sorry, it's Courtney. I'll turn my camera.
Okay.
Okay, so I joined the call for thinking of it from two different lenses. So I want to make sure I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the organization applying for funding to put on programming for girls. It is actually helping individual girl apply for the funding. Am I understanding that?
So there's both are options.
Okay.
So you can actually do both. So we have an adult component, like they're broken up where there's like adult grants and girl grants. So you could actually do both. So it's all the mini innovation grant, but it's for those two different audiences. So it could be an organization writing it to do an event. We just don't have any girl grants that have been we haven't had any submissions yet, honestly. We've had only organizations. So the 4 that I showed are the only ones that we have like officially been able to fund. And so those are organizations doing more of like events or promoting what their programming has been already. And then we have the girl component. So it could be both. And there's no stipulation that it couldn't be the same organization doing both.
Because then when you were talking, and I did, somebody stepped in my office, so I might have missed like a portion.
Oh, you're fine.
But so let me just give you the use case really quick. So we have started an event as part of Terre Haute Day that's called Young, Black, and Empowered. And we have like a girls cohort and we have a boys cohort. So my first thought was if there was some funding available to help us like bring in a speaker, whatever it might be for the girls component of that event. But then when you were talking, I could also see where we potentially are letting them know at that event about these grants and encouraging them to come up with something they may want to do to apply for these grants. Then secondly, when you're talking adult wise, I don't know if it would ever play in. Obviously, we have women all the time that are starting businesses or trying to do something impactful coming through our office. So I guess I was just trying to see, from what I hear you saying, all three of those could be applications.
Yeah, honestly, all
Okay.
three of them could. I think that the last one, as long as like they can explain how they are like reaching girls, I think that I feel like you have so many businesses that would totally fit into that model already. But I would think that's the only one that's like, I would just say very clear when writing it how it would be innovative for girls. That's the only one that seems like at all trickier. But honestly, too, I'm your contact in Vigo, so I would even love to work with your girls like ahead of the day to do like a workshop and do it. Like we could definitely do that like ahead of Terre Haute Day and see
Well, the
what.
event itself, like the Young Black Empowered, that happens. It's before Terre Haute Day, but it's like that week before.
Okay.
But we really only get them in that. But it could be a breakout. It could be a breakout for them though, where you come and tell them about this opportunity, and So okay,
Yeah.
helpful.
Okay. But yeah, I love. I'm like, please let me do that. That sounds super fun.
Yeah. That was my
And then
only
I would
question.
say, yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. But no, I think it would work for both. And I would say, especially like, I feel like Terre Haute Day, as far as an organization like standpoint, you should definitely write something for that. I feel like that's
Now
a
the
super
application
fit.
would come. This is where it gets a little tricky. Our application
Yeah.
would come from Chances and Services for Youth because they're our fiduciary. And
Yeah.
we do try and be cognizant. I don't know if Brandon knows of this opportunity or Big Brothers Big Sisters. Is there anything of like, if we wrote for it under Chances and Services for Youth, would that hurt? Like if Big Brothers Big Sisters or Camp Rave or some other
Someone else did it.
under Chances and Services for Youth also wrote for it.
I'm going to look it up. Do you like that answer?
Yeah.
Well, so this is the thing. Everything is so new. Like, even I feel so bad for the people that did our first grant process. Like, I feel like I was like, wait, and
Maybe.
what about this? And so
Mhm.
it just so honestly, it's like so malleable. I'm like, have we officially decided how long it is that you have to wait? Like, is it only one a
Before an
year?
awardee,
On
yeah.
our webs, yeah, I'm gonna look at our details. One-time funding, 3 months. It's so funny. I don't think so.
Well, I guess would we have to, it doesn't have to be a nonprofit.
It could be
So
anybody.
if we just applied as like, I mean, my company outside of ISBDC, like my regular company does a lot of marketing for Terre Haute Day. So, I mean, maybe it could be an application under a for-profit for
Yeah.
that as like.
And I think so. It's kind of funny actually when I'm realizing this. I'm like, we don't have it in there that you couldn't do more than one a year.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
it doesn't have that in there. So it's kind of funny. I'm like, I guess you would be able to do it at this point as written. You could do it like every cycle as long as
Every
you would
cycle,
have
yeah.
something. Yeah. That's what's so funny. I'm like, oh, well, we inherited the guidelines. Our
Okay.
committee did. So it's one of those things I'm like, oh, if it's open, I'm not a business person. Can you tell, Courtney? I'm just like, let's give away as much as we can.
Anybody we can. That's fine. Yeah.
I'm like a nonprofit person for life. I'm like, let's just give everyone everything.
Everything.
But no, at this point, I don't think there'd be any issue.
Okay.
So I think that however you want to do it. And I think honestly, when you're thinking about, Terre Haute Day in itself, like that's not, that is innovative in our community. You guys have, is this the third year?
This is our fourth year. This might be our fifth year.
Whoa.
1, 2, fourth. It's our fourth year. Our first year was 2020.
Okay, that's what
Fourth year.
That's what I was thinking. I was gonna say COVID time doesn't count.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I'm just so
yeah.
like I just lost years. All right. I'm so
That's
fast. I'm happy that yes, Karen.
I'm curious. So March 1st is soon. So do you know when the next grant sessions would be?
It looks like, I think it will be, I feel like we're doing it pretty much every 2 months. So I think it'll be, I will email you for sure, but I believe it'll probably be like May 1.
Okay.
We're trying to, I believe we have 20 grants that we want to award this calendar year. So we need to keep doing it. I mean, that's a lot of why we're trying to promote it. That's why I'm like, please write stuff, because I want to give away as much money as I can, especially in my counties. I think it's important. We're able to do a lot of work that way. So I believe it will be May 1, but I can confirm with our committee.
Okay. And since it's Marion County, would that be, I would need to work with someone else, or do I work with you, or?
At this point, when you're just writing it, it would just be me.
Okay, great.
So we can set up a time to chat, but then once it would be awarded, I would move you over to work with Lex and Rebecca.
Got you.
And they, and especially since they've been doing, they've been really interested in this in general with working with the girls that they, had previously had relationships with. I think they'd be really interested. But yeah, at this point it's me. So feel free you can email me and we can set up a time.
Okay.
And then it's also important to note that if you send in an application, it's not quite what we're looking for, we will ask secondary questions. Like we want to make sure that it gets to where we are able to award it. So
Okay.
I love that. That's usually not the way this works. So I'm excited.
So I saw
And
that
then
there
if
was
you-
a church that had been awarded. So this also goes out to local churches.
Yes. So that's something that is, I feel like it's so, I came from the library, so it came from like government work. So it feels very different, but yes, so there's it can be a religious organization too. It's really open. Like as long as you are not paying to like keep the lights on and you can explain how you're working with girls, it's so open,
Okay.
which I really enjoy. That's why I'm trying to keep it kind of as like open as we can. And I do feel like the girl projects can have so much more, I think just like options too. I feel like they could do so many more things because with them, it's really more of like their innovative idea. So it doesn't have to be a program.
Okay.
And it is also, when you're thinking about girls, it is also open to existing Girl Scout troops. So they can write grants in that way too. So if you just know someone that is involved in that, like it's a good opportunity for them too. It obviously doesn't have to be, but that is another option. And it's also important to know we are related with Girl Scouts, but you do not have to be a Girl Scout to participate in your programming or to host it. It's more of we will share the opportunities of being able to join Girl Scouts. And also it's free at this point to join Girl Scouts through our grant in the Year of Innovation. So it would be free if they're interested in doing so. We're working to do different programming where we would hopefully be able to invite them to other great things that are happening like in the county. But I do want to be clear about that. I feel like I don't want anyone to ever feel like that's like a bait and switch, because it definitely is not. So that feels good to me. Any other questions, especially about that? I feel like that's the most kind of like contentious point of this. All right.
So I think you're saying they have the opportunity to join Girl Scouts, but they do not have to. Is that correct?
That is absolutely it. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's written down, it's very clear in the guidelines for the grant that is exactly what it is. So they don't have to, but we will, give them all the information if they would like to.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, then I will let you just enjoy the rest of your morning. I know I'm a fast talker, so I shouldn't be shocked that it only took, a half hour, but I'm never upset when meetings wrap up early. I'm sure you're not either. So thank you for joining me. I'm excited. And I really do hope that feel free to reach out before March 1 too, and I'll do my best just to kind of give you any insight. The application is on our website and it is not, it's not overly complicated. So we'll make it as easy as we can. So just let me know. All right. Well,
Thanks,
thank
Sarah.
you. Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.